The book of Revelation stands out in the Bible. A wise pastor once said there are two books that the devil hates most. First, the book of Genesis, because it tells us the truth about who the devil really is. Second, the book of Revelation, because it shows us what will happen to the devil. His final destination is the lake of fire. It also shows the future of our world, and as you read it, you can see that the events written down over 2,000 years ago are now slowly coming true. In chapter 9 of Revelation, we get an incredible look into the spiritual world and how it begins to interact with the physical world. This chapter is considered one of the most frightening and talked about parts of the Bible. Wilbur M. Smith, a scholar who studied Revelation for years, said that apart from the mystery of Babylon in chapters 17 and 18, the judgments in chapter 9 are among the hardest to understand. This chapter talks about two frightening armies being set free to cause destruction, one from the bottomless pit and another from the east. Today we'll focus on the army from the bottomless pit. Revelation 9:1-12 has caused much debate among Bible scholars. Some say this section is talking about real locusts coming out of the pit. Others believe it's about the souls of those who have died without being saved. Some even say that John saw fighter helicopters, and since he lived so long ago, he could only describe them as locusts. Another belief is that these aren't regular locusts, but an army of demons that are described as locusts. Let's read Revelation chapter 9, verses 1-12. Then the fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to the earth. The star was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. When he opened the abyss, smoke rose from it like the smoke from a giant furnace. The sun and sky were darkened by the smoke from the abyss. And out of the smoke, locusts came down upon the earth, and were given power like that of scorpions. They were told not to harm the grass or any plant or tree, but only those people who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were not given the power to kill them, but only to torture them for 5 months. And the agony they suffered was like that of the sting of a scorpion when it strikes a man. During those days men will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will elude them. The locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On their heads they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces resembled human faces. Their hair was like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the thundering of many horses and chariots rushing into battle. They had tails and stings like scorpions, and in their tails they had the power to torment people for 5 months. They had as king over them the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek, Apollyon. John, who wrote the book of Revelation, saw something amazing. He saw that the creatures coming from the bottomless pit had a leader, a king who ruled over them. His name was Abaddon in Hebrew, which means the destroyer, and in Greek, his name was Apollyon. The name Apollyon has appeared in other places too, like movies and books, but many people don't know the full power behind this being or what he's truly capable of. Some even think that Apollyon is Satan himself, since he's called the destroyer. But Apollyon is not Satan, and here's why. Before we get to this part of the Bible, John had seen angels blowing trumpets. Every time a trumpet was blown, something terrible happened. The 5th, 6th, and 7th trumpets are called the 3 woes because the disasters they cause are so extreme. In Revelation 9:1-12, we see the army from the bottomless pit being released. Some say these locusts are real. Others think they're spirits of the unsaved, while others believe John saw something like helicopters and tried to describe them in his own way. But another theory says that these locusts are actually demons, and John was trying to describe them using what he knew. This gives us an idea that these beings are not ordinary. They are led by Abaddon or Apollyon, whose name means destroyer, which paints a scary picture of this force. Some think that Apollyon might be Satan, but that's not the case. There's a difference between the two. Apollyon is in charge of this group of demons from the pit, while Satan has his own role to play. The key thing is that this army and their leader, Apollyon, are released to bring destruction during the end times. When the fifth trumpet was blown, John saw something strange, a star falling from heaven. This star was given a key to the bottomless pit. This pit is like a jail for wicked angels or demons, and it's the same place where Satan will be locked up for 1,000 years, Revelation chapter 20, verse 3. The pit was shut at first, but the key was given to open it. Interestingly, John called this star he, which means this was not just a regular star but a being. Some say this being could be Satan, while others think it's an angel. But the fact is, someone had the key and opened the pit, which released something terrifying. Apollyon is a strange figure. He's locked up in the bottomless pit, waiting for the right time to come out. It's possible that he's one of Satan's top angels, and he has the power to control demonic spirits. These spirits are like locusts, but much more dangerous. When Apollyon and his army are set free, they bring disaster upon the world. The locusts that come out of the pit don't look like the ones we know. They are described as having the shape of horses with human faces, women's hair, lions' teeth, and tails like scorpions. These creatures will hurt people for 5 months but won't kill them. The fact that John called them locusts doesn't mean they were real insects. Locusts are known for their destructive power, and these creatures will be even worse. They won't attack plants like normal locusts do. Instead, they will target people who don't have God's protection. Normally, locusts swarm in huge numbers, often too many to count, and these creatures will be the same many in number and ready to destroy. These locusts aren't just animals, they symbolize a bigger force, an army of demons sent to torment people. Their leader, Apollyon, is a destroyer, and he leads them with a clear mission to bring suffering to the world during the end times. The imagery in this chapter is terrifying, but it's meant to show us how serious God's judgments will be during the final days. In one of the scariest parts of this passage, it says people will want to die but won't be able to. Imagine suffering so much that you wish you could die, but death runs away from you, Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. This shows how powerful God's judgment will be, and that people won't be able to escape from it, no matter how much they want to. This description of endless suffering is one of the hardest parts to read in the Bible. People will be in so much pain that they will beg for death, but even death will not answer them. It's a reminder of how serious God's wrath is and how much control He has over life and death. God's power is shown throughout the book of Revelation. He is in control of everything, even the events of the end times. Every trumpet that blows, every disaster that happens, is all part of God's plan. Even the release of Apollyon and his army of demons from the pit is under God's control. It's not random chaos, it's a part of God's judgment on a world that has turned away from Him. Apollyon and his army represent a turning point in the end times. Their release signals a new level of suffering and destruction. The fact that God allows this to happen shows that He has a set plan for everything. Even evil is under His control and can only do what He permits. The torment these demons bring will last for 5 months, a specific time set by God. This shows that even though things will get really bad, there is a limit to how much suffering people will endure. God controls the timing, the events, and the extent of everything that happens in the end times. As we journey through the depths of Revelation, these vivid and often terrifying images beg the question: how do you interpret this cosmic battle between good and evil? Do you believe the locusts represent physical creatures, symbolic forces, or something else entirely? How does the idea of spiritual warfare affect your daily life and faith? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective may help others see this prophecy in a new light. Let's engage with these ancient truths together and consider what they mean for us today. Do you see signs of this unfolding in our world right now? In the end, the chapter reminds us of God's absolute power. He decides who lives and who dies, and nothing happens outside of His will. Even though the events of Revelation are scary, they show us that God is in control, and His justice will win in the end. If this exploration of Revelation has deepened your understanding or sparked new questions, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Every week, we dive into Bible prophecy, biblical teachings, and spiritual insights to help you grow in faith. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Stay tuned for more.